Hello and welcome to Ask Endocrinologists. I am Dr. Hope and I am here with Dr. Grace. We are here to answer all of your endocrine related questions, any questions regarding your hormones, whether it's the thyroid hormone, the pituitary hormone, hormones, because there's several hormones from the pituitary gland, including any reproductive related questions like polycystic ovarian diseases, any elevation in prolactin, also diabetes. Diabetes is a hormonal disorder, and the hormone involved is insulin. So any questions regarding diabetes medications, we're here to answer your questions here at Ask Endocrinologist. So please feel free to enter your questions in the chat on Facebook, YouTube. Anything you want to say, Dr. Grace, before we get our first question?
Yeah, I just want to say if you are new to this channel, we welcome you once again. This is a wonderful place where you can feel free to ask your question. We are endocrinologists, and if you are not new and this is not your first time, we also welcome you once again. Thank you for joining us, and please don't forget to like, to share, most importantly to share with people around, with your friends and families, and notify someone, like, go online, ask endocrinologists for their question. We do these once every month, so we hope to have you more on board each time we have this live question and answer. Yeah, so Dr. Hope, I was thinking we should talk a bit about hormone, pending the time that we have any question, like what exactly are these hormones? What does this hormone do? I know we did a video on it last week.
Yes.
But probably some people haven't had the chance to watch this video yet.
Okay. Yep. So also, please, I just encourage you to subscribe as well to our Ask Endocrinologist channel on YouTube. So that way you can get notified when we are coming on. So just to keep you up to date, keep you informed. So some of the hormonal questions. So let's start with the thyroid. So I like talking about the thyroid because sometimes people have no idea what the thyroid is or where it is. So the thyroid, the thyroid gland that makes or releases thyroid hormone is in the neck, and it's a butterfly-shaped gland that releases thyroid hormone. Now, what is the purpose or what is the action of the thyroid hormone? The thyroid hormone goes to receptors, places where it actually has an effect all throughout the body. So it can affect the heart. If you increase the amount of thyroid hormone being released, you can increase the heart rate. So it increases the metabolism in many different ways. It can increase your heart rate. It can increase your muscle turnover. So people can lose weight, right? You can burn up fat. It can also increase your bowel movement. So you have more loose bowel movements. If it's too much, it can even lead to diarrhea. So increase heart rate, increase heart rate, increase bowel movements. Also increase follicle turnover. So people can lose hair with hyperthyroidism. It can also lead to a certain type of hyperthyroidism called Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disorder, can lead to bulging in the eyes. So sometimes, if someone has an overactive thyroid, their eyes can be very enlarged. And that's one sign of the autoimmune form of thyroid disorder. It can lead to weakness, just feeling fatigue, tired, just weak arms and legs, weak muscles. So those are some of the symptoms of an overactive thyroid. Now, an underactive thyroid will be when you're not getting enough, right? Enough thyroid hormone. It can slow down the metabolism. So that can lead to weight gain. Sometimes people who have increased weight gain or it's very difficult for them to lose weight, they may not know why. It could be because they're not making enough or releasing enough thyroid hormone. So weight gain, even dry skin, um, constipation, so the bowels can slow down. And so that leads to constipation. And some people can have, again, weakness and fatigue. You can see it in overactive or underactive thyroid. And hair loss can be seen in both overactive and underactive thyroid as well. So those are some of the symptoms of the thyroid disorders.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Hope. That's very wonderful. I wanted us to stay a bit on the thyroid eye disease, because some people do have a bulging eye and
Mhm.
dryness, and they feel like something is pushing at the back of their eyes, and probably they are not aware that it could be related to thyroid.
Mhm.
And maybe they're waiting so long before they even have to go see a doctor, or until someone out, an outsider or people around them, notice that that they are staring. Can we talk more about these on how they can early signs and things they need to watch out for, so they can check their thyroid as well and be aware of this.
All right. So if you notice that your eyes are bulging, or maybe your family member's eyes maybe more protuberant than usual or larger than usual, it could be a sign that that person has thyroid disease. Sometimes that can lead to even blurred vision, so it can affect your vision slightly. But just the change in the look of your eyes can be a sign of thyroid disease, and that you should definitely go to your doctor to to have them evaluate you further, because that is unique to the autoimmune cause of hyperthyroidism, which is Graves' disease. So
Yeah,
good point to
yeah,
highlight.
yeah. And other things I know that could be additional is the lead lag. You know,
Right.
there could be lead lag aside from the high bulging.
Mm-hmm.
When they close their eyes, they're unable to, or when they look down, they're unable to. Um, the upper lid is not covering the white sclera,
Right.
and it's the high lid is lagging behind
Right.
from there, you know
Right. Right.
and it's another sign from the thyroid thing. And research is ongoing with many other ways to manage these. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell you take care of the hypothyroid because it's usually a sign of Graves and autoimmune disease.
Mm-hmm.
And when the thyroid is treated, it usually takes time to resolve. But because of the look, the effect it has on social, on the person, there are also medications now that are out there uh, that have been tested and tried to help in the management of this thyroid eye disease, that teplizumab, or for short TZ. So my advice for people out there is that if you do have any signs or symptoms of thyroid eye disease, even though your thyroid gland might not be bulging, or you don't know whether your symptoms are related to thyroid, it's
Mm-hmm.
also good to see your primary care. Let them start from there and test your blood work. And once your blood work is confirmed that you have thyroid problem, you definitely need to see a eye doctor, an ophthalmologist, to help in the management of the thyroid eye disease.
Yep. And the other thing is, the other symptom is maybe people can develop dry eyes, or difficulty because their lid doesn't close completely. So you may
Mhm.
wake up with dry eyes, and that may be a sign, because of the bulging eyes, of hyperthyroidism. And usually the eye doctor recommends either using a patch over the eye at night, or putting eye drops in the eye throughout the day and at night before you go to bed as well, and early morning. So those are some of the symptoms of hyperthyroidism.
Yeah, so quick one as you're joining us, if you do have any question, Please feel free to put your question in the chat, and we can read it out and see how we can help out. Be free to ask your question. This is live Q&A with the endocrinologist.
Yes. So Grace, we talked about other hormonal disorders last week. Like some, I want to talk about some unusual ones. Like maybe people may not be aware of prolactin.
Okay.
Prolactin is a hormone that's normally secreted in pregnancy, right? And
Yes.
it's called the lactation hormone. So it helps the pregnant woman make milk and the breast. However, there are some disorders in the pituitary gland that causes the gland to release increased amount of prolactin. So that prolactin itself can cause increased milk production. So that is another abnormality or hormonal disorder that's seen particularly from the pituitary gland. So if you notice that you have breast milk and you haven't been pregnant recently, that could be a sign that you're making too much, too much prolactin. And also, the prolactin can affect your reproductive hormones. And even it can have an effect on your thyroid hormones as well. So, again, it can tie together with some of the other hormonal disorders.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And basically, through blood work, most of the endocrinological condition we confirm through the blood work. You know, through blood work, and if needed, we do an MRI imaging workup of the brain to see how big or if there's any adenoma or any mass in the pituitary that could be causing this prolactin to be overproduced, and the treatments are there.
Okay, so someone is asking, what's the major causes of frequent urination? So, uh, in from an endocrine standpoint, one of the major causes from an endocrine standpoint, because there are other non-endocrine related causes, right? But is high sugars, right? So diabetes, and I think that's what you said. So if you have a high sugar level in the blood, it can lead to losing that sugar level in the urine, and water follows it. Losing the sugar in the urine and water follows it. So increased urination could be a sign that there's so much sugar in the blood that it's spilling over into the urine, and the sugar the water actually, or urine, goes with the sugar and causes you to lose a lot of fluid. And that's where you can get weight loss from diabetes from just the water weight. The water weight alone can cause you to have a significant amount of weight loss from too high sugar levels in the blood. So thank you. That is a very good question. So poorly controlled diabetes is definitely high sugars is definitely related to poorly controlled diabetes. So that is something that you should be aware of. If you know someone or if you yourself have increased urination, you should definitely check your sugars.
Yeah. And in addition, there's another one of that is like diabetes insipidus. Uh, that they can be urinating very light and more frequent urine from there as well. Yeah, but like the person who asked like, could it all be traced to sugar level? So it's not all traced to sugar level. There are other things, many other things that can cause frequent urination. But from endocrinological area or endocrinology point of view, if you drink too much water on your own, just psychologically over drinking, you also pee a lot, you know. Or if you do have something called diabetes insipidus, which is different from the diabetes mellitus, it could also cause frequent urination. And just like Dr. Hope has mentioned, diabetes is very, very big factor when it comes to frequent urination. And that could be a big symptom, your only symptom that you have for diabetes.
Yeah, and so that's a good point. So there are two different. The most common type of diabetes that we all talk about is the diabetes mellitus, right? There's different types of diabetes mellitus. There's type 1, which is just absolute insulin deficiency. You don't have insulin and you're not making insulin. And then there's type 2, where you may be making insulin, but it's your body's resistant to that insulin, and that causes increased urination. But there's another type of diabetes that is not related to the sugar at all. It's called diabetes insipidus, like Dr. Grace was saying. And that type of diabetes can be from a pituitary disorder as well. So the pituitary is a gland in the brain that makes a hormone called vasopressin. So it can be lacking in the pituitary, but it can also be lacking in the kidney. So those can lead to increased fluid loss, like she said, but it's very dilute urine, right? It's not concentrated at all.
Yeah,
So
very.
yeah. So that's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing, I guess, that people are always concerned about, is weight loss. So, are there any disorders? Are there any endocrine disorders that can cause weight gain? So we mentioned one of them, hypothyroidism, so an underactive thyroid. So if you're gaining weight and you want to make sure that it's not caused by a medical or endocrine medical problem, so some of the tests you can do are tests to check your thyroid hormone levels, right? To see if this weight gain is due to your thyroid hormone. But there are other hormones that can cause weight gain, and that's something called Cushing's disease. That's an endocrine hormone, and making too much of that hormone can lead to weight gain as well. But it can also lead to other symptoms such as thinning of the skin, maybe a round face, easy bruising, increased weight gain, especially in the abdominal area. So that could be, a sign of Cushing's disorder. And again, those are two of the endocrine problems that can cause weight gain.
Yeah. Weight gain sometimes can be hard to manage, especially when it's endocrine problem and it's not just because of your calorie intake. And when you feel like, okay, you've tried everything to watch what you eat, you've done exercise, and still you're not improving, yes, definitely and it is important to ensure that hormonal issues are not added to it. And probably just because you're on contraceptive, because being on contraceptive sometimes can make some people gain weight, while some people change, their weight doesn't change.
That's right. And some disorders can be caused by weight gain or can be related to weight gain, like polycystic ovarian syndrome, right?
Yeah.
That that's an abnormality or imbalance between your estrogen and testosterone levels in a woman, and maybe making too much testosterone, and that can lead to decreased estrogen levels and abnormal periods or very irregular periods, and hair growth as well. So like hair growth in the upper lip, chin, and some of the male pattern areas. But if you lose weight, that can really help be one of the cures for that disorder, right? Weight loss, intentional weight loss can help treat polycystic ovarian syndrome. So yeah, those are some of the weight related things. And not to mention for diabetes, type 2 diabetes, obesity is one of the main factors that drives type 2 diabetes. So intentional weight loss can also decrease the risk of type 2 diabetes, and decrease the insulin requirement of type 2 diabetes as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. In the absence of no question, I think we don't want to give too much information per video, so that we can have the time to assimilate and think about what we've talked about today as well, you know.
Yeah.
So in summary, so we've talked about the thyroid, the symptoms and the signs of thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the diabetes and the type and different types of diabetes, and the question about what can cause frequent urination. Yeah,
Right.
so if you still do have question later, you can put in the in the comment section, or you could ask us again in our for the March live question and answer.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for your time. Please share this video with others to still learn, and we hope to see you in March.